So, when we say economics and reporting, others will call that one business journalism. Okay, so business journalism or economics or economic reporting, or the same. Okay, so the last time we met, we discussed two important issues, but under each of the issues, there's an expansion. We discussed where to get stories. As journalists, where do you get the stories right? So we said the first point where you can get stories is the economy itself, the general, the whole economy. Then we described what an economy is. We said an economy is the sum total of millions of things that we do as human beings. And such things as in agriculture is an economy, what we grow in the ground or dig out like mines, what we make or we create, what we buy and sell, and what we get the money from to pay for it, where do we get the money to pay for whatever is on market, and what we do with the money we get for selling it, how do we use that money, and what governments do to help or hinder all those things, Right? So we should know that government can hinder or can help. For example, government can hinder imports. They will say, government can say importation should be reduced to protect local industry. Don't import eggs from Zimbabwe. That was the case some time ago. Eggs were coming from Zimbabwe. A lot of eggs being sold in the country. And then local farmers complained that eggs that are coming from Zimbabwe are killing their business here, isn't it? So the government put up a tariff, a high tax on the imports, which made Zimbabwe eggs more expensive than local ones. So people were now starting buying local eggs. Okay. So economists, we said, measure all these things and give them names. So when there are measurements that happen in economics. So these measurements are things like, we said, gross domestic product, which is very important for a journalist to understand. Let me give you just that at 9:15, you are going to write a story which you submit at 10:15. I mark it, I'll give you the marks for that, okay, based on what we're discussing today. Okay. So, economists measure all the things given, such as GDP. What is it that we need to understand? GDP. Inflation, what does it mean when we say inflation? We discussed that one. So GDP is what is shared per head. You add all the values of everything in the economy, internal that is, so you divide by the number of people in the country. If we are 17 million, and whatever we have in the country is worth, let's say, 30 or 34 million or billion, so you divide 17 million into 34 billion. The result is the GDP. Inflation, the rising. When we say inflation, we mean, can somebody remind me when we say inflation, what do we say this last time we met? Chance. Again? The increase in the economy of the country? A decrease. Increase in the economy, you say. And you say it's a decrease in the economy. Tiamike? No. So when we say inflation, we mean the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Okay? That's the increase in prices. So the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Okay. But when we say GDP, eh, you need to understand these terms, otherwise you may not cover anything in the economy, in economic news. So when prices on the rise, that is inflation. So when you check, you need to be reading when we give you the tips here, so you go out there and read, isn't it? They're not complete in themselves. Okay? So GDP, when we say it is often cited in newspapers, on the television news, and in reports by governments, central banks, and the business. So what is it? GDP, what is it? What do we say it is, GDP? What's the GDP? Yeah, you're gonna have some point there, because I know you're getting it from me. Um, when we say GDP, we mean it's the total monetary or market value of the finished goods and services produced within the country's borders. The total monetary or market value of all the goods, of all the finished goods and services produced within a country's border. Okay? Within the country's borders. That's within the country, isn't it? Not what they produce outside the country. Okay? So whatever is produced here, ready for sale, those measure, that is GDP. Okay? Then you can check, there are different definitions, but they all boil down to total of all value added created in the economy. So what the GDP means, the value of everything, okay, of all the goods and services produced and sold on the market within a country. Okay. We also talk of fiscal balance. We talked about this one in an economy. When they say fiscal balance, what do we mean by fiscal balance? Jamie, can you remember from our last meeting when we say fiscal balance? Okay. So this is about the amount of money, okay, that government receives from tax revenue, and the proceeds of assets sold. So what government receives and what government spends. Okay, so it's the amount of money that government receives from tax revenue and whatever it sells, like through assets, then you subtract government spending. How much does government get in through taxes and other means such as selling companies and the likes, and what it spends? That balance is the fiscal balance. Okay. So the balance can be negative, okay, and the balance, when it's negative, is called a fiscal deficit, okay? When the balance is positive, it's called a fiscal surplus, okay? And fiscal is spelled as F-I-S-C-A-L, okay? F-I-S-C-A-L, that's the fiscal. So it can be positive or negative. When it's negative, it's a deficit. When it is positive, it's a surplus. So why do you think it can be a negative? Why do you think it can be a surplus? How can government have a negative fiscal balance? Can somebody tell me? In what situation can it be physical? The physical balance can be negative, and in what situation can the physical balance be positive? Yes.
It can be negative because the government it has increased, whereas it decreases, it can be positive.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. But when does it increase? When does it decrease? What are the situations? When is it that physical balance can decrease? What happens that it can decrease? When you have physical balance?
So maybe this cycle when there's
Again?
maybe the type of foreign money, foreign the
No, those can just be other results. No? Yes, Mary? Yes. What can happen that government can have a negative or a deficit in its physical balance?
Lack of foreign currency, physical balance, right? And poor, we can say when we are exporting goods from Malawi to other countries, that can be foreign currency, comma.
Okay, let me say. When we say fiscal balance is deficit, means government is spending more than it can earn. Okay, spending more than it can earn. So when government overspends, spends more than what it earns, we are in a deficit. Okay, and then when we're in a surplus, so it's easy for you to understand that. What happens when we're in a surplus? What happens when it's a surplus? The fiscal balance is surplus. It's what? Yeah, it increases. What happens? What it means? What? Because we say a deficit, it means government has spent more than what comes in, isn't it? What about a surplus? It means what?
that means the government is more than spending.
Simple. That's it. Yeah, simple mathematics. Can you repeat that?
The government is more than what it spends.
Yeah. So if you earn 100,000 kwacha and you spend 50,000 or 60,000, means you spend less than what you earn, isn't it? But if you earn 100,000 kwacha and you spend 160,000, it means you have spent more. Okay. Um, so those are some of the terms we discussed last time, and the kind of stories that come from there you need to know. Okay. I sent you the document, isn't it? You checked in your WhatsApp. There, it's there. Jamaica, you checked that? Please, when you today we move on. Now we got something like um, on you know. Let's talk about something on markets. Okay, what's the market? What is it? When you say market, what comes to mind? Chance, when you hear the word market, what is it?
Market is any place where goods and services are exchanged.
Okay, place. Okay. Mary, what's the market?
Market.
Hmm.
Market is where
Again?
it's where goods and services are done.
Goods and services are done. Dear?
I think the concept is the same.
Huh?
The concept is the same, like where goods and services are taken.
So you are saying market is a place.
Market is a place.
Okay.
Only things that you see.
What about if you're selling over the phone? Is it a place?
No, it's an online thing, but the same. Where is that going?
So market is not necessarily a place, but it's the exchange of goods and services. Okay? Or the exchange between goods and services. Eh? Okay. Uh, market. So when we say market, what do we mean? It shouldn't be a place. Can be a place, can be online. Okay, if you, online is a place, fine. So it's a regular, other would call it a regular gathering of people for the purchase and sale of provision, livestock, and other commodities. An area or arena in which commercial dealings are conducted. An area or arena. Eh? Okay. Where uh, an arena or area in which commercial dealings are taking place. So in the market, prices are determined by supply and demand. Well, we have done some economics up to level, isn't it? So supply and demand. What do you understand by that, Mary? When they say prices are determined by supply and demand.
If the demand or
No, I want the meaning.
this means that the prices of the commodity is mm, is based on the demand of the goods.
Continue.
This means that the price of goods is based on the demand of the no, the supply of goods is based on the demand of the goods. You don't know how I can say
Okay, fine, that's correct. But then, what does supply mean?
supply is the availability of commodities to satisfy the consumers.
Okay, that's, you are not far from it. Yeah, sure, somehow. That's it, you should say. So, refers to the market's ability to produce a good or service. Eh? And Kiamike, what do you understand by the term demand? Yes. Chance demand, what does it mean while Kiamike is thinking about it?
Demand, demand is quantity of goods that the consumers are willing to purchase.
Okay. At time, place, and price. Okay. So it can be the quantity of goods consumers are willing to buy or customers at a time, certain time, place, and price, isn't it? In other words, demand refers to the market's desire to purchase the good or service. No, you're right. So in the market, these are the two issues that determine. So when you're reporting a story, you should be thinking of what is supply like of that particular service. Okay. What about the demand? And so we know that when demand is high, eh, supply also increases. But also price, mostly price. So the higher the demand, the higher the price. But when supply is higher, the price goes down. Do you know that? Do you know why? Do we know why? Okay. Let's call the law of demand and supply. Okay. Uh, Law of demand and supply says if the price of goods or services outstrips demand, prices will fall. Meaning, if supply of goods or services is higher than demand, the price, okay? But then if demand exceeds supply, prices will rise. So, in a free market, the equilibrium price is the price at which the supply exactly matches the demand. So the equilibrium price is the price where demand and supply are the same. But then you have to capture all these into your stories, understand? Okay? Anything from minibus transport, from fuel on the international market, local market, from food prices, you know that, clothing, phones, anything. You have to think about those. We also, so in a market economy, when we say market economy, because there are so many types of markets, we have command economy, market economy, and mixed economy. Okay? Like in Malawi, what kind of market is Malawi? Is it a mixed economy, command economy, or market economy? We discussed that it's mixed, isn't it? Both command and mixed. Can you keep the phone? Okay. Markets. So you should know that this market is a mixed. When we say Malawi, the economy in Malawi is a mixed market, what do we mean? What does that mean? What does that entail? Mixed market. It means what? Yeah, what Jamaica is thinking? What is it? Mary, when we say Malawi is a mixed economy, what does that mean?
Sources of economy, they got different.
Again?
The sources of economy,
Hmm.
they are a lot in different grounds.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Chance, when we say mixed economy, Malawi is mixed economy, what does that mean?
There is an economy whereby it tries to combine both market and command.
That's true, exactly. So it takes the middle way, it's a market and command economy. That's it. Is a mixture, is when we say mixed economies, it means you combine market economy and command economy. That's what it means. Okay? Yeah. Um, so as a journalist, you need to command economy mixed. Market economy and command economy mixed. So a market economy is one that recognizes this fact and creates, that's the fact that price is controlled by supply and demand. That only happens in a market economy, pure market economy. The other terms that we need to understand when we are talking about there are other means that we refer to. For example, we are talking of global markets that involve the exchange of okay, there's this term when we say financial markets. For you guys, you need to understand the meaning of financial markets. Okay, issue of financial instruments. Okay, you have to explain this: financial markets, financial instruments, and institutional investors, retail investors. These are the terms. Money markets. You'll be writing about this. So to understand these things, you have to go and read. Bond markets. What are they? Equity markets. So the markets can be in that category. When we are talking about those political arrangements, like market economy, but in the market economy, then you find financial markets. Okay, you find bond markets, BOND. When we say bond market, what is it? It's a government or a company can borrow money from investors by issuing bonds. Okay, that's a bond market. Have we ever heard about the meaning of bond? What's a bond? At this level, at university level, you need to be rich. You're not a secondary school class, isn't it? Hey, there's nothing out of bounds. Here you are at university, think big. So what's a bond? If you have ever heard about this one? A bond. What's a bond? Or a bond market. When they say bond market, I've just mentioned it. What's a bond market? Okay. So others will call that one the debt market. Okay, DEBT, the debt market. Yes. So it's the collective name given to all traders and issues of debt securities. So it's like government has taken waste money from people, isn't it? So it issues papers, it's selling those papers, you pay for those papers, okay? And they promise to pay you back with an interest, Yes. Okay. You should know those bond markets, they are there. Then we have equity markets. Okay. When we say, what do we mean by equity markets? So this is what we normally mean when we call about the stock market. We have the stock exchange in Malawi. Do you know that we have the stock exchange in Malawi? Okay. Please, so as journalists, we need to be versatile, read, understand. Otherwise, we don't provide any information. Our job is to look for information and sell. And to do that one, we need to be active, versatile, okay? Strong. No, don't be moody. Don't be angry. Don't be this. A journalist, and you must be always smiling and all those things. Because when you go to an interview, you want to interview somebody, they need to see you confident, well presented. Don't have to look chubby. You have to look smart. You'll be meeting business executives. Prepared with information as well. So you go out there, if you really want to become a successful journalist, read and read. Economics. Don't read to become an economist, but read more about economy. And look at the stories, the way they are written. And then write one, practice. Show a friend, show somebody who is a writer. Is it the way I write? They will say yes or no. Okay, they'll help you. You will learn with practice. Okay, so those are equity markets. We're talking about the stock market. We'll find the stock. Like raw materials are sold, like oil, like coal, rubber, cotton, cocoa, rice, all those raw materials. That's called commodity markets. Okay. Then we have foreign exchange markets. Foreign. Okay. So when we say foreign exchange markets, we're talking about the kwacha here versus the dollar, isn't it? How does the local currency compare with other foreign currencies? So on this one, that's where most of uh, the currencies compare each other. Okay. So demand for a currency. When we say currency, we mean some money. Like what's the currency for Malawi? The currency for Malawi is what? If somebody asks you, what's the currency for Malawi? What is it? It's kwacha. The kwacha is the currency for Malawi. Okay. So this is 10 pattern. So that's how they trade. And then we have number 6. We have what we call derivatives markets. Derivatives markets. So these are a combination of all foreign market bonds, foreign exchange, commodities also combined. Okay, so these are markets in all instruments discussed, as we have discussed, combined. Okay, but then please, we said then, why is it important or interesting for readers? So you can see why is it interesting or important or interesting for readers? Why? Again? So as a reporter, as a journalist, you have to explain and put this one in context. Okay? So, very few of your readers or viewers will be market traders or know anything about the markets. They may not even know anything, but the movement in the prices of these markets affect them. So you'll be reporting how these affect them, isn't it? Yes. For example, isn't it difficult to understand, for example, that the oil prices affect all of us, isn't it? Here. Such as us bus passengers or the transport vehicles. And then even those who are transporting goods to from the fields and the likes. Remember, everything rises. As oil prices rise, everything in Malawi goes up. Okay. So you see the high food products, everything goes up. Okay. So what kinds of stories come out of it? What kind of stories can you write from here? So there are many routine market stories that are no more important or interesting to readers than People like football a lot or sports, but there can be also interesting stories from here. Okay. Um, I want you now, you guys, to write a story on how one on the oil change in oil prices, how they affect life of an ordinary person in Malawi and the whole economy. Okay, so you have to write that. I give you 15 minutes to write that story.